I think we're live. Hello, hello. Realign some shit around. The open door to my other room. Whatever. Whatever. Like I'm live on Twitch. About YouTube. Yep. I'm live on YouTube as well. On YouTube? Yep. Alright. Alright. So. Think I'm set. Correct here. Yeah. That. Okay, so let's start the stream. Timer when? Okay, I'm ready. I'm ready. Stream. I changed things in the layout a little bit, so if anyone is watching right now or later, tell me if anything is visible from the editor, like are the names visible, right? Looks visible on my end when I'm looking in the preview, but I don't know how it actually looks on your end. The layout is kinda inspired by how Epic Games are doing their streams. It's still amateurish looking. Comes to like colors and shit like. But yeah. That's some funny ass thing. The background is supposed to be animated. Background is supposed to be animated. But something's not right. What's going on? Why is it not animation? Huh. It was supposed to move. Okay, whatever. It's not the most important thing in the world. Discord. Hi Magda. I'm glad that you're listening to it, but I won't be turning on Discord during the stream, so I don't see this image that you sent clearly. So if you got a comment, please, you could write it down in the YouTube comments, in the live chat. That way I will be able to see it a little bit more. And I'm glad that you're listening. Really glad. Okay. So my question to you is if you can read any of the, for example, blueprints. Any names or anything like that. And if you could type it out in a chat, I would be really glad, because I don't want to stream accidentally my private Discord or anything like this. So, without further ado, yes, as in you can read this. Okay, that's great. So without further ado, Welcome to my stream. My name is Adorolzo. I'm a game developer working Unreal Engine 5, and I've been doing some streams for a short moment, and lastly I've been concentrating on Mover plugin, the new plugin in Unreal Engine that like a new paradigm shift when it comes to like movement. And 2 weeks ago I was able to attend Unreal Dev Fest in Prague, which was awesome, and I did like a short live stream from there, but I kind of messed it up and didn't turn on my notepad where I was writing all the shit that I was talking about. So I kind of messed up that stream, but that's what's going on, right? It happens. My streams are supposed to be about learning game development, me covering my blind spots. I'm working as a gameplay programmer. And I want to cover my blind spots in the future, but right now, just to get my, get myself running a little bit more and learning how to not stress out in front of the fucking camera. While talking, I am doing this stream on Mover plugin, covering how it works out, etc. And for the past 2 streams, I've been just deep diving into this plugin, and I was able to attend the talk at Unreal Dev Fest that was covering Mover plugin, and the author of the Mover plugin was there. I was able to ask a question. So when Epic finally releases the streams from those sessions, at the Mover session, you will hear my question at the end. I asked about how would you hook up Mover plugin with the gameplay ability system, and Guy delivered great response for me that made me think, right? And yeah, I'm saying a lot of from what I heard from my friend. I will be trying to reduce that. That's also one of the things that I'm trying to learn while streaming, to be better talker, to explain myself more clear. And what is it for you if you're watching this in it? Well, those streams are super real, which means if something breaks, I gotta fix it. I'm kinda tired of tutorials and streams on the internet when someone shows the perfect path to the solution, or how in a perfect setting given plugin or a given solution or given anything works, right? And then you are sitting down, you are trying to recreate it, and it just doesn't work that way. And then you have lots of comments asking about, hey, I have this error. And it is a good luck if someone answers this. Here, if something breaks, I address it immediately because I'm doing it on the fly. I'm not trying to be prepared beforehand, which means I will be making a lot of errors. The same errors as every person who is trying something new makes. So the learning value is that I will probably encounter the same problems as you do, and I will fix them, so you'll be able to see the fix, right? And that's something amazing. And I get another message from Discord. As I said, I cannot really read those messages. So yeah. So if any of my friends are watching, please message here in live stream. That way I can actually, respond or see anything. You can write in Polish if you want, or English. I don't care. I will be talking in English, but you can write in Polish. Because I'm from Poland. So my friends will be writing to me in Polish, but the Q&A is English and Polish, etc., etc. So, without further ado, I was able to cover in previous stream how you can construct those moves. Let me break out the old paint. What I was able to cover in previous streams and what I want to cover, and kind of finish the Mover plugin series at the same time. I was able to basically learn how to prepare data from inputs, right? Which means it is for me on my end as a gameplay programmer, I could take all the input data that I actually want to use and I can filter out and prepare this data to be read by further processing. Then, based on my inputs that I prepared, I can create a move queue, right? And queue movement. And from there, the simulation part happened. We have a pre-simulation where I can process the data from the queue, about move, and prepare additional stuff. Then the simulation part actually happens where the data is being used to move my object, right? And then there is a post-simulation part, right, in which I can do additional stuff. And from what I remember, there were like 2 things there. One was after all the moves have been finished and I could do some correction, and one post-simulation event was after everything is actually finished and I can trigger like cosmetic events, right? And that's all cool and dandy, right? You can create those moves either via blueprint or code. There is a library of moves you can already use, right? Which is really cool because then you can think about the movement you are trying to create as a combination of moves that already exist in library provided by Epic. While I was at the session covering Mover plugin, the engineer behind it said that library of movement functions still needs to be worked on. There are still some missing parts, like for example swimming isn't really covered there, so there is no parity between the old ways, character movement component, and current ways. But they are going to do exactly that and probably add a couple of more things, right? Yeah, so you can think of your move, the gameplay move that you are trying to create, as a combination of those moves, or based on how these moves, library of moves is constructed, you can create your own library of moves, or just your specific move, right? You can queue also movement mode changes, which means you can go, flying, walking, right? And you do all of that up. That's also and I was going in through the code, where to hook up all those events, where to debug stuff, because I encountered the problem on part 2 of the streams that were covering Mover plugin, right? And that was the realness that I was talking about. That probably if I was just watching some YouTube tutorial, they might not have encountered it, or they encountered it and they fixed it but they didn't talk about it, or whatever combination of those. I encountered the problem where just by pressing debug on one of the blueprint nodes, something weird happened and all of the movement stopped. And it turned out I had to insert parent node for pre-simulation node, and then it started working again. Why it was working before, I don't know. Clearly broke, and it had every right to break. So before actually setting up a breakpoint, it shouldn't work, but it did. So this is some weird thing, but that's what happens with experimental plugins. Like, there might be errors, some weird stuff happening, and you're on your own to fix it. That's why Epic doesn't recommend to ship games with experimental plugins. The small caveat, Some plugins had been in experimental state for so long that there were so many games shipping with that exact experimental state. So I would say that there are two categories of those experimental plugins, those that are actually really experimental and those that are tagged as experimental, but games have been releasing with those plugins for years. So I encountered this problem, I fixed it on stream, and what I want to do during this session, that was in the past, right? Now what I want to get into is I want to prototype, create my own movement, some move by combining moves from library of moves, right? I want to do that on today's. I anticipate it will take the better part of the stream. And I also wanna get a little bit into the networking code. I wanna kinda see how it works underneath, right? How those moves are being queued up, how those moves are being replicated, etc, etc. On the session at Unreal Dev Fest, session for Mover plugin, the engineer said that Mover plugin uses network prediction plugin or chaos network physics. Those two types of networking. Because with the Mover plugin you can use either simulation via regular movement functions, or you can use physics to drive your character movement. There are pros to cons to each of them, right? And there was shown a cool demo of where your character is moving on physics, and then you have like this bridge created with physics, and you are playing in multiplayer. One player can be underneath the bridge, suspended bridge. They can start jumping, and it starts moves not only the bridge above, but the player on the bridge, right? It is quite cool. I didn't deep dive into physics portion of plugin, but it is cool. And when you are using physics to drive your character movement or object movement with the Mover plugin, that's where Chaos Network physics is being used. But from what I understand, it's still being worked on. And Network Prediction plugin, which I am not sure what the state of it is. Is it experimental? Is it finished and ready to be used? I'm not sure. I remember that professionally I was sitting down like in 2019 with some of my friends from work back then to use Network Prediction plugin, and it was in experimental state and wasn't finished, right? I'm not sure what the state is right now. But when you are using just regular movement functions, mathematical functions to drive your object movement, that's where Network Prediction plugin is being used, and I kind of want to see how Mover plugin integrates with that. But first, my own move. So enough with the paint. We're not here to paint. We're here to develop some shit, right? So I kind of want to remind myself how does it work, right? Because from what I remember, I'm playing as standalone. I can play as a client. Let me just see. I remember I was turning on the editor reference. What I remember. Yeah. Play. Here is where, from what I remember, someone is sending me messages on Discord again, and I Okay. Nothing important for now. Work. Okay, what I wanted to do here. Ah yes, enable network emulation. I have it turned off. What I wanted. I wanted to remind myself how the hell do you play this thing? Transmission quality Unreal is a little worse than the last time. Oh. Okay. Yeah, I can see that the bitrate is kinda wonky. I'm wondering why. I am not sure how to address this, really. Let me quickly see in the OBS if I can change it. Here. Okay. Okay. And let's see if it changed a little bit, because I changed the bitrate transmission, the OBS. It should be a little bit better right now. Probably. And it might be the fault of YouTube, because from what I see in my Twitch transmission manager, here it looks like it's a little bit better. Let me know if quality improved, or maybe those settings aren't working while I'm streaming already. This might be true. That they cannot change while I'm already streaming. So if that's the case, there might be a problem. But no, I'm seeing that the OBS is sending out good quality stream. So it might be on the YouTube's. Magda, if you're still watching, could you tell me in the chat, YouTube chat, if the quality improved? Because my end, it looks like it should have been improved if you put it in the high quality. Let me also check another thing. Crazy. Use less CPU. No, I want to use exactly the same. Okay. And there is this issue that I forgot persisted. That when I'm streaming, for some reason, my view of the Unreal Engine is kinda wonky. And I'm not sure why. While I saw it on YouTube and Twitch, that actually you have a way better viewing experience of my Unreal viewport than I do. As if something going on. Okay, I will learn this. Okay, but from what I remember, the cool movement sets is only when I use the extended pawn, signified by green color. That's where I can dash or something. I don't remember. F was I wish I could see this thing a little bit. Left control is for dash. Okay. You know what? I'm thinking just for a hot prototype. Hot, by hot I mean improvised prototype, really. I will change the dash. So while I will be pressing left control, I think I will do some other movement. But what kind of movement do I want to do that is simple enough that I would be able to pull it off on stream without turning it into 15-part stream about one moveset? Okay, I think I have the idea. I think I will do... I think what I will do is... I think what I will do is I will have my character, after pressing left shift, I want him to go diagonally up, right? Hang in the air for like, I don't know, half a second, and then do a ground pound diagonally down with the force much stronger than they were going up. So here there will be some kind of force or speed. Probably type out speed. I want to achieve linear speed, and I want double that speed. I won't be doing like Niagara particle effects for the ground pound like this. Maybe I will add sound, explosion sound. So prepare your goddamn earphones. And that's what I'm thinking about doing, right? It will be a ground pound. Because I kind of want to use this event of, hey, the movement finished. I want to react on it, right? Yeah. Let's see if it will be possible. Maybe this hanging in the air for half a second or a second might be a little bit harder to pull off. We'll see. I don't know. Let's try this shit out, right? So, from what I remember, it was animated many pawn extended, right? And what I remember, I need to go main event. Let me a little bit more readable here. Here is the blueprint for the animated mannequin pawn that is extended. Here is where pre-simulation tick happens, where the input that is already been collected into command queue is we already have it pre-processed, right, from C++ code. Here is where the inputs have been saved for movement input, ability inputs, and pre-simulation tick, handle, double jump, vault over, dash input, and aim. So I want to go into dash. Activate dashing action based on it. No, dash delay cooldown is not rollback friendly, and currently only for this simple 100%, right? So here is the block of blueprint script I will be changing in order to do it. But I already see a problem with the move that I just thought of, because it is a combination of two moves. Okay, I'm going up, hanging in the air, and then going down. That means, and the dash is quite simple. It is a fire and forget, which means, okay, I have the direction. I am queuing this layered move, right? And I'm playing animation, and the move will be simulated in a second, right? Yeah, and then the simulation tick happens in C++ code, and that's where it is being finished. So I'm wondering, how can I do those concatenated combined moves? So after I go up in the air, could I just queue another layered move after that? I'm not sure, but what I am sure about is that first I need to be able to just go diagonally up. So let me try to do this exactly. Let me unhook the handle dash input here, because I don't want to change any of this code. I want to keep it. Here's where I will be prototyping my own move. That's not how I would do for shippable code. If I wanted this to be shippable, I wouldn't just override the dash input. I would create a new input, add it to the game, make it work as a regular input, as a regular new move, right? But right now I don't want to deal with like inputs. That's not what I'm trying to learn here. I just want to learn how to make moves. So just for learning purposes, I feel like I can safely do this. And if I will manage to today, maybe I will create a new input. But it seems more like the input screen. Okay, so actually that thing might be important, because what this code does is checks if actually the dash input has been pressed, and did the dash cooldown elapsed. That's what I need, right? Get move direction in. I will need that as well. I want to know the direction. So what it does, function, it takes the inputs that had been pre-processed by C++ code and processes it again. And what I get from this function is the actual vector of direction intent from. Let's hook it up. I want to do it only if the move actually had been okay. We have it, and of course valid if there is no directional input intent per se. We don't do anything, right? We also want to save the time of the last dash. So if someone is spamming the dash button, or in our case ground pound button, we want to make sure that they cannot spam it, basically, right? I don't have animations for this, so I won't be attaching any animation. We will probably be A-posing or being in a default pose, default Unreal mannequin pose while doing this, right? But what I'm right now interested in where's this dash magnitude? Okay. So, right now, what I'm doing, I'm analyzing how dash works and how can I learn from that in order to create my own move. So what I will do, and I will use the same kind of shit, is make layered move near velocity, right? I want to create this data because this data when queued for the mover plugin, this data will be used for simulation. This data will contain the velocity, which means vector, direction vector, and the magnitude, the velocity of my linear movement, right? I could hook curve here, right? How the magnitude of my linear velocity movement will change over time, but I'm not interested. Settings flag, I kinda don't know. Mix mode, override velocity, which means whatever, there are 3 modes here, right? This means, hey, first one, additive velocity, means, hey, if I'm already doing some kind of movement, add this linear velocity movement on top of that. In some cases, it is exactly what you need. For dash, whoever created it was like, I don't care what movement you are doing right now, if dash is happening, this is the only velocity driving this forward. right? And override all means, hey, do not only override velocity, I understand, override all of the parameters of the movement. So this movement is the only one driving my object's movement right now. Then there is this duration. This move will expire after a set amount of time. Which means, hey, this is how long we want to simulate this movement, right? Here it is 350 milliseconds, right? So okay. That means, yeah, the movement will be happening for 350 milliseconds, but I'm hung up on, okay, after this particular move is finished, can I react on that, right? But so I can queue up another move, right? We'll see. I will try to do this, or maybe we will have to do it a little bit different. Maybe we'll have to use different layered move. But right now, for the next 5 minutes, a success will be if we'll be able to influence our movement. So not only we'll be rising up. In order to rise up, if I'm not mistaken, I would have to also queue up the change of movement mode from I kinda lost my thought. Yeah, because I was looking at the stream, those stream management things. Tells me restream that bitrate is high. On Twitch it says it's okay. YouTube it says. I don't know what's going on. I hope no one will bill me for this. Okay. Okay, yeah, so just try to do it. I want to make layered move velocity. Well, I want to queue. Target of layered move, of course, character. Move. Oh, there is launch. Launch. We have near velocity. Let's see. Radial input. Move to dynamic. Jump to bound. Velocity. Force move. Ah. Okay. I wonder what the difference between the two. I will try to set up both of these and compare the difference. Genuinely curious. And yeah, I can use the similar setup of dash magnitude, right? But instead of like, hey, just dash into the direction that I'm pointing to, just dash. Right now I'll try to just dash up, right? Move up. Got that. I don't care about finished velocity. What I care right now is about this. Up this velocity. Up this duration. Here. And I want it to go up. Z in Unreal Engine. The axis is always pointing up. You put it at value of 1. Oh. Hello. There dies a lot 7. Hello, hello. The image quality looks fine to me. Thank you. Thank you for confirming, because I've been informed that at the beginning it was a little bit rough. So thank you for... Yeah. So... Yeah, am I forgetting anything while constructing this? No, I just need to queue it. I can set dashing it as well. And it should be launching my character up. How has the learning process been going? It was actually going fine. I had only one problem, like the part 2 of the streams connected to Mover plugin, like weird stuff when I just wanted to debug some node in Blueprint, and all of the sudden all of movement broke, and it turned out that I only need to like add in one additional parent node, call to parent node, and everything works out. So for me, just going into it blindly without looking at other tutorials, learning this Mover plugin is actually way easier than learning regular character movement component in Unreal. So I think that says a lot when the new thing is way easier to wrap your mind around than the old stuff, right? So yeah, the plugin, it makes way much more sense how you can work it out. The fact that I can right now prototype some movement Blueprint rather than C++ is really cool. Oh, you've been working on an alternative. Oh, nice. And how was it going for you? Nice. Congrats then. Congrats then. Okay. Let me compile this quickly. No ghosting. Oh, nice. Will you be releasing it as some kind of plugin or something? Or do you have maybe like a YouTube account or something to show off this thing? Because it sounds really cool. I would love to take a look at it. Go and send my guy and... Oh, works. But it only works if I'm pressing forward, which makes sense because in the blueprint I stated that if there is no directional input, I don't want to do ground pound or the beginning of the ground. It can be implemented as post-process material, so when it's done, you'll be able to pop it into your post-process volume without... Oh, that's great. That's great. So it's just a post-process material. That's cool. That's cool. So should I just like follow your Twitch to see? Do you like promote this post-process material? How you did it or something? I would be really curious to see. How did you implement it and the final effects? Sounds really cool. Okay, what I was trying... Ah, yeah. So, kind of works. But I kind of wanted to hang in the air after jump. So I need to put it into the flying mode. Still in the works, but I can keep... Oh yeah, I will be very happy. I'll be very happy. If you have like some on your Twitch channel, some links to follow, I will sure take a look at this. Whee! Okay, so I create Hulk type of jump or Venom. It actually pairs well with the 5 TAA. This is the jag, doesn't catch it. Oh yeah, I get you, I get you. Sounds good, sounds good. Sounds like something I would love to use and learn about. Okay, here I want to compare right now because we have linear velocity here and we have layered and we have launch layered move. I want to see what that's going. Flying, put it into flying movement mode, the exact same velocity, exact same duration. Let's see how that differs from regular linear velocity. Has work been going well? Yeah, yeah. Because right now what I'm doing is kind of like my private time stream. I'm also working in game development. Right now I'm working with Creepy Jar. And the work has been going on well. And these streams, I only started them like a month ago. I kind of enjoy doing it. And I hope I will be able to do it more. Right now I'm able to do 1 2-hour stream every Thursday. And every month I am able to do it. Every month I will try to sneak in an additional, like longer 4 or 5 hour stream, right? And I hope I will be able to manage, you know, add some additional dates to it because it's actually very cool to do it, you know, live on stream. And make all the mistakes and then learn from those mistakes and, you know, it is very fun for me to do so. Hear it, I'm just... Oh, okay. So, have a nice day at your day job right now. Yeah, I've been thinking about this streaming as a real game developer here because my main motivation was I've been seeing a lot of streams and a lot of tutorials when people are covering some cool shit, but they are showing like the perfect path, right? A perfect prepared path. And what I found out when following tutorials or something, shit just doesn't work that way, right? And then you go into comment section and it doesn't work that way for lots of people. They're asking for help. And that's why I decided to do these streams because I'm not prepared beforehand. So I'm, you know, experiencing the exact same problem as everyone else. And then I have to fix it on stream. And this happened in part 2 of this mover plugin streams. And I feel like there's a lot of value in, you know, being real and honest and not knowing something and learning on the fly. I generally tend to avoid video tutorials and stick to the official documentation. That's just a personal preference. Yeah, I get you. I usually also like to read from documentation, or if the tutorial is prepared by the actual developer, right? The developer from Epic. Like there are lots of Epic developers with their own YouTube channels and they are basically saying how they created something, right? Those are cool, right? But there are lots of tutorials that are kind of not showing every nook and cranny. Yeah, I agree. If tutorial is made by Epic, it's usually great. I 100% agree. So what I'm trying to do on these streams is to cover my blind spots because usually I'm dealing with the gameplay movement code. Yes, exactly. They don't explain the why. And that's what I'm trying to do in these streams. I'm trying to deep dive into the topics that I don't know about, trying to uncover the why. you know, go head first into the problems, try to solve them, break things, fix things, and I think along the way learn something and explain how I learned it, what is going on, all of my hypotheses. Some of the hypotheses will, you know, turn out to be false, some of them will turn out to be true, etc. You know, I'm trying to be as real as possible here, right? So when someone, you know, is watching, they will be able to see, okay, I had this similar problem. Oh, this guy actually fixed it, right? That's what I'm trying to achieve here. And also, you know, cover like the latest stuff, cover the stuff that I don't know about, right? Because how many YouTube channels need to cover the same thing over and over? No, I'd rather just, you know, deep dive with my head first into something that I don't know and fix everything on the go, right? That's also how actual real game development job looks like. I've been in the game almost for 10 years, right? And I don't think I did the same task twice, right? Which means, you know, every time I have to learn something and stuff breaks and I have to fix it quickly. So I also wanted to show off like how real development, you know, looks like, right? That's what these streams are about. I have actually noticed a lot of parallels between game dev and firmware development. Yeah? Oh, I would be curious to, you know, read about those parallels. I never worked in firmware dev, so I'll be curious to, you know, hear from you what are those parallels. Okay, let me test this launch layered move. Quickly swap count on. Oh, yeah, that's actually what I wanted more, but I don't want to have control. But it's actually cool. I created a movement where I can just kind of fly in the air. That's cool. Okay, so from what I see, the difference here is, you know, the linear velocity works with the physics, right? So after my movement ends, the physics take over and put my guy on the ground. Here, when I put the flying movement mode, I'm launching into the air, similarly to linear velocity, but when I'm stopping, I'm still in the flying movement mode, right? So if I want to exit it, I have to explicitly call for changing the movement mode. Yeah, I need to explicitly call the movement mode change. Okay, so I'm not sure which one I will use right. So a good chunk of it is using a lot of lower level concepts like thread scheduling and memory management. Yeah, and targeting specific hardware. Yeah, 100% with the hardware and memory management and thread scheduling. Yeah, okay, I get you. So even though, you know, one thing is a game engine or a game, the other thing is a firmware, you still need to deal with it, right? Especially if you're targeting specific hardware. Yeah, like I'm working on PC and console games, right? I never worked on mobile or web games. So, you know, targeting for a specific console is a big issue here, because with PC you get a lot of leeway because you can target higher end PC. You can just, you know, put higher specs and maybe it will work out depending on the business goal, right? But when you're trying to release for, like, you know, PS4 and Xbox One or PS5 or Xbox Series X, you only have amount of memory that you have and nothing more. So you really need to take that into the account while thinking about data, right? I target low-end hardware like the Switch for the game stuff. Oh yeah, actually I think there's a lot of benefit when it comes to like learning to target lower end of hardware, because limitation breeds creativity, and that's how you say it, right? Limitation breeds creativity. Yeah. And yeah, on high-end PC you might stuff a lot more data here, but it doesn't mean that, you know, it will be a good game or a good engineering effort. While if you are targeting Switch, you really need to be clever about it. Like, I seen this talk about Zelda Tears of the Kingdom and how they were creating stuff there, and they had to create the open world game for Switch, right? That was very dynamic. And the engineering effort behind this is so great compared if you were just, you know, putting things in for the higher end PC and be like, yeah, 64 gigabytes it can take the 64 gigabytes of RAM it will take that, right? Have to work with heavy limitations at work, such as cramming a control system, HMI, web server into 300 kilobytes of RAM. Damn, then you are a master of that shit. I never had to think about less than 8 gigabytes of memory ever. So you're probably a master of, you know, packing data tightly. I tip my hat to you if I had a hat. Okay, so to get back to my movement here. After I do this movement, can I like queue up another movement after I finish? Can I like set up something to watch out for that? Hey, this movement finished and I want to react on it? That would be cool. LOL, but yeah, GameDev from having to cram so many features into limited memory. Yeah, that's definitely a case. There's this cool presentation, I don't remember if it was GDC or some other event, when the Insomniac games were they were making first Spider-Man on PS4, and I think it was their CTO or some other tech lead that was explaining how they approached that. Basically, this guy had figured out how much memory each discipline had, how much time in the singular frame, for example, was reserved for rendering, was reserved for movement code, was reserved for targeting code, for AI, etc., etc. It was really inspiring to see that how, you know, prepared they were for this shit, and it worked well on PS4 for, you know, to see how dynamic first Spider-Man was, right? Optimization feels like a lost art in some way due to the hardware. Yeah, and also lots of modern scripting languages are kinda obscuring away the memory operations, right? And how much data actually waits. So this is lost art, lost knowledge in many ways, right? Yeah, you're 100% right. Yeah, but I kind of think it's coming back because, at least from what I saw, because games, the ones that I worked on, are kind of ambitious and they want to simulate more and more objects within the frame of the game, right? And there's a limitation there, so suddenly you have, even if someone, you know, wasn't really careful about optimization, they need to learn right now. Especially if, you know, someone wasn't like lower memory proficient, right? Ambition does necessary. Yeah, exactly. So right now, even if it is a lost art, I kind of see among my peers that people have to relearn it, because, you know, everyone sees new consoles or Unreal Engine 5 and they're like, whoa, we can do what? Let's do it. And then it's like, holy shit, it doesn't work. Why? Oh, we are over budget with everything on GPU and CPU. Okay, we need to learn how to optimize it. So, and Epic is also really cool about trying to teach people about that. They are kind of giving you a shotgun that you can shoot yourself in the foot with. Then you start searching for why shit doesn't work. And they are kind of providing, at least what I saw, resources to debug how to do it, right? Yeah, Epic has great resources for using their tools. I 100% agree. Like, before I was using Unreal Engine, I worked at Techland and it had proprietary engine. There was little to no documentation there. But on my free time, I was messing with Unity. And it was a little bit harder to learn. I mean, Unity has a friendlier entry point, but when I started to get into like more heavy stuff, I didn't have resource code and the documentation was kind of lacking, right? I'm not a fan of some of their decisions, but I give them credit for the developer. Yeah. Oh yeah, modding the engine, that's the thing. Like, the best approach right now if you are developing anything on Unreal is don't touch the code, right? If you need to extend it, do it via plugin or other ways, right? Yeah, the source code isn't too well documented. I agree 100%. That's what I kind of been doing here in this mover plugin, using my experience trying to read through this code, read through some comments, and if things are uncommented, just looking at code, trying to, you know, guess what the intention is, and then trying to find out how, if my, you know, hypothesis is correct. I was kind of doing it here on stream, right? The source code isn't too well documented, because from what I spoke with their engineers, it is a Herculean effort to really, for their company as big as it is and as fast as they're moving, it is very hard to do so, right? That's why I just made my anti-aliasing post-processing. Yeah, that's one of the ways, you know, smart ways, I would say, to extend the functionality of the engine, right? You don't like how they were doing it, you just create your own post-processing material, it works, great. You extended the engine without, you know, touching and changing the rendering code. Just copy-pasted the HLSL into a custom node. Yeah, it's a good way of doing it. Yep. Prototype in HLSL and then, you know, put it into custom node, see how it works out. Okay, what I was doing here. This chat has been amazing. I like it. Yeah. So layered moves. Wonder if. Oh, I do wish they allowed for multi-pass processing real ground. Yeah. Yeah, there is this new substrate material that I played a little bit with, not too much. Works in a little bit different way, but from what I could saw, it kind of means that that's my hypothesis, that Epic is trying to open up some avenues here. So I am really hoping that, you know, they will open up these exact avenues, you know, like multi-pass post-processing in the material graph. I hope they will do it. And other stuff, right? Couldn't do that, so yeah, single pass algorithm. Yeah. I hope they, you know, will open up some parts of the rendering in the future. Looking from how they are approaching things, I am really optimistic about, you know, what they might implement in the future. So, you know, yeah, especially as from what I know, some companies, when they want to change some things about rendering, they unfortunately have to, you know, change some parts of the rendering, right? And then the merge to newer versions is super complicated. And I know that some of the companies wish they didn't have to basically go into the source code of the renderer and change stuff, right? And I know that Epic is also aware of this, so, you know, at some point I hope they will be able to open up those avenues. People could really, you know, affect render in much more meaningful ways, right? Yeah, they would probably. My hypothesis is that if they could do it, you know, like right now, and it was of the highest priority, they would probably do it, right? But probably other stuff might be more of a priority right now for them, right? Like, for example, they introduced Nanite, right? And it's great for static meshes. They are doing their best to bring foliage up to speed, right? And They will probably work on something for skeletal mesh, right? Yeah, lumen still need fixes, just like you are saying. So, you know, they will probably need to get up to, you know, their desired state of things with lumen, with nanite, with mass, right? So probably this kind of changes in render will, you know, be later down the line. They also need to get out of experimental with this substrate material, which is actually really cool. I like it. I played around a little bit with it. Takes the concept of putting slabs of material on top of the other, right? So you don't have to create like weird parallaxes to do material that seems 3D-ish. They kind of showed it with this opal example in one of their demos, and it was really cool example. Okay. So what other layer? Make yeah, I still stick to parallax for performance reasons. Yeah, but I will start getting higher and higher. Yep. Basically, from what I learned like recently, because I'm not a graphics programmer, right? I'm a gameplay programmer, so there's still lots of blind spots that I need to cover there, and I hope I will be able to do these on this channel, right? But from what I learned from my regular work, nanite is amazing at throwing, you know, like super dense meshes at it, right? And from what I know, when you are targeting high-end hardware, right, it is better to, you know, use meshes with lots of geometry than reduce it, because nanite, with the specific cases, there will be a session released after Unreal Dev Fest in Prague that I attended, where one of their engineers explains like, hey, there are some cases where nanite isn't like working the best, so here are the tricks that you could use in order to make it work better with those specific cases. And most of those tricks deal with like, hey, just insert more geometry into this thing. Nanite will eat it without a problem. Oh yeah, if you are using lower poly geometry and you're targeting switch, nanite is a no-go, right? Of course. And also, you know, you wouldn't get too much use of it. But if someone is, you know, like using mega scans from Quixel, right? Or doing super realistic graphic, nanite is amazing. There's also teleport. Move to that. What is this? Ah, okay. Moving towards a specific actor that can also move. Yeah, nanite is fantastic for realistic games. Yeah, I really look forward to... What was this game? Black Myth Wukong, from what I remember. They are using lots of nanite, and I am going through Hellblade 2 right now. And I know that there is, you know, like people don't like gameplay there or story or whatever. I, you know, won't comment on that, but it looks freaking amazing when I'm playing it on my PC and on a big screen TV. It looks really great. I don't remember last time when I was so wowed by graphics. That I can suffer loom. Yeah, it's great that they, you know, gave this option of using software loom. Yeah, that's exactly the same way I treat Hellblade as well. There are a couple of gameplay moments there, but it's more like an experience with gameplay elements than a traditional game. Yeah, I treat it the same way. And it is also an amazing tech demo for, hey, this is what you can achieve with real graphics wise, right? 100%. Yep, exactly. They explicitly said that they are not trying to make the most gameplay heavy and fun game out there. They wanted to craft an experience with the best possible graphics you get with Unreal Engine, right? 100%. But you know, it is the internet. People will treat games and talk shit about everything, how they view it. So, you know, I'm not surprised that some people are talking weird stuff. I believe it was my dad's first video game since... Holy shit! Since playing the Atari 2600 in 1970. He loves how it doesn't overwhelm him with things to do. Yeah! Yeah, actually I haven't considered it, that it might be a great intro game for someone who either never played video game or played video games like back in the days. Also, how much of a graphics jump it is from Atari 2600 to Hellblade 2. Damn, that must have been a whiplash, right? I got him a Series S as an upgrade to his Roku box. Oh yeah, Series S is amazing. My friend has Series S, and he said that, you know, even though it's not as performant as Series X, you know, he still, you know, enjoys the hell out of it, right? Series S is an amazing proposition. Yep, exactly. Runs the games and still you can do all the multimedia shit like Netflix and all the other stuff on that. Yep, exactly. The cost is so low that it's winning out. Yep, exactly. I agree 100%. Okay. Right now I want to search, like, after my move has been processed, do I have something that will tell me that the movement... Two-layered move. This is what I'm using, right? Layered move, right? Okay, let's get into this code. Is code readable? Right now, because I had to change some stuff, and I'm not sure if the code is readable. Care about this stuff, save longer and get Series X. Yes, that's exactly what I did. Like, I wanted to buy a current gen console. I kind of wanted to experience the high end, and you know, I was like, okay, let me get a Series X because I never had Xbox. I had PlayStation before. So I wanted to, you know, try something new. I have Series X and I'm really glad that I have it. I've been using Game Pass to try out games, see if I like them, etc, etc, right? Series X is really cool console. Okay, Q layered move. This finite state machine. Layered move. Okay. Then how are they being... Here's the... here's flashing to... Okay. Oh, goddamn. Okay, so... Patient. Honestly, I think that the current hardware is good enough for most developers. Powerful hardware would... Yeah, I agree. It is good enough. 16 gigabytes of RAM, you know, on both PS5 and Xbox is enough to fit most of the current games and current effort, right? So when it comes at least to like AAA game development, I feel like companies still haven't grasped all the tricks that they could implement for current consoles, right? And adding just more RAM to it, it would just mean that they would add more detailed meshes, which, yeah, great. But what about, you know, the quality of a game, right? Like, there are priorities in this shit. And it's amazing that, yeah, you can simulate more entities if you have, you know, more cores and more memory, but what these entities are doing in the game, right? Like, is it fun to interact with them, etc.? Like, I still feel like there's a lot of ways to cover with the current console. Tears of the Kingdom is the game that... Yep, Tears of the Kingdom is the game that impressed me the most recently, and it's running on the smartphone chip from 2015. The physics and scope impressed me, even if it was on... Yep, I had the exact same realization last year. I played lots of games, and then I turned on Tears of the Kingdom, and I'm like, yeah, it is running on the ancient hardware. What the simulation there, and what I could do, and how it, you know, brings up my creativity to the front when playing this game. I love that shit. And I didn't even mind that in some places, you know, the frame rate was dropping, because I was still amazed that it works how it works, right? Sure, the texture resolution was a tad rough, but they are still hit it well. Yeah, I 100% agree. Some textures are, you know, on the lower end side of things, but the art style is so nice that it didn't bother me at all. Like, at all. Simulation tick. I'm searching for... Seems like a great candidate for a remaster on a new console. Oh yeah! I would be really surprised if on the new Nintendo console they didn't remaster both Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. I would be really surprised if they didn't double dip, and probably it will sell a lot, because playing Tears of the Kingdom in 60 FPS, the higher resolution textures, seems like an awesome idea. Yeah, depending on what the console would be in the launch lineup, I would be inclined to like double dip as well, because I still haven't finished Tears of the Kingdom, and I don't want it. I don't want to finish it. It seems like a forever game to me. I can just launch it and play around and have my fun, right? I love that stuff about this game. Here's the Q next mode. Station tick. On post movement broadcast. That's what I'm hunting for. On post movement broadcast. On post simulation tick. And what I want to do is, after my move ended, I want to schedule another move immediately. Right? Update movement. Okay. So I wonder if this event is blueprint, and unfortunately it isn't. Ah, fuck. Okay. Broadcast the other after long addition. Not assignable as a BP with having mutable parameters. Okay. Fair enough. What parameters does it have? Ah, yeah, okay, because that would be like a shotgun that I could kill myself. Okay, so I get the motive behind this. This is only for C++. After it happened, I could react on that and possibly modify the state, do some correction or whatever. Yeah. One rendering feature that's become more base render. Oh yeah, PBR 100%. Yeah. I 100% agree with you. Also, I'm thinking like, if, you know, ray tracing will become even better and better with the physical materials based on actual physics, you know, those tech demos about ray tracing, if we could actually, you know, make it a standard for video games, I think we would have amazingly looking video games. And right now, I'm, you know, on my free time going through some ray tracing renderer, learning how, you know, it works, because before I never written a ray tracing renderer, right? And I know that some of the games are using, you know, ray tracing, but I'll be honest, I was kinda underwhelmed because it seems like it's using it only in specific cases, as such that after 15 minutes of playing, I'm forgetting that it exists, right? So it feels like a small step up from, you know, non-ray tracing, right? From a regular raster rendering. But I want this next level shit, right? Which seems like only tech demos right now are doing it, right? Ray tracing being a standard does open up a lot of other opportunities. Yeah, 100%. I'm curious how it will evolve, right? Very curious about that. Okay, so I cannot use on-post movement. What about on-post simulation tick? That is blueprint assignable. But it is on-post simulation tick, not, hey, I just finished this scheduled movement. So I'll be honest, sure how to go about implementing what I was trying to implement. That my character goes up in the air, stays there for half a second, and then ground pound. Does it mean that it cannot be achieved with just blueprints and queuing up the layered moves? Doesn't mean that I would have to like actually create my own layered move in which I move character in the air, stay there for half a second, and go down? It is a possibility. There is a hypothesis like this. There's another hypothesis that is much more likely that states that I just don't know how to do it via blueprint, and it's possible. But actually it was super easy to just create like a new launch that, you know, it launches me in the air. Which means for basic dashes, dodges, etc., couple of nodes, and it already works. For complicated movement, it might be more involved, but I'm still not, you know, showing the white flag. I still think it might... I might have something that I could use here. Let's do this and search for it. What categories do they use? Mover. Okay. Mover. Play montage. Sign on movement mode changed. Sign on post rollback. Okay, so I can react on rollbacks. Find even on move. Find even station rollback. Stick. Find even to on freezing. But there is a hack, of course. I know the duration of this layered move, so I can just wait for this duration and then implement my ground pound. But it is such an ugly and hacky way that I just don't even want to touch it. Destructible environments are 1. Those and raster lightning don't mesh well with each other. Yeah, I 100% agree. With ray tracing, an environment that just had been destructed and changed geometry, actually, you know, it's kinda, because all of it is physically based, it's way simpler, right? You don't really have to do extra work behind that, because the scene changes, so the render changes kinda automatically when those rays are going out, right? And also it opens up opportunities for all the things considering sounds, right? With ray tracing, when geometry changed and you needed to change all those occlusions, etc., it was a headache, right? In Rainbow Six Siege, from what I remember from one of the GDC talks, they were explaining how they created this whole system to accommodate for that, right? But with ray tracing, both for graphics and for sound, suddenly you destroy the environment, and all of the lighting and sound problems are kinda easier on your end, and also way easier to follow when it comes to, like, for example, trying to explain how things work to someone who don't understand, regular raster rendering or regular sound rendering, right? This is way easier to tell someone, hey, these are rays, they are, going through. If they are hitting something, they are taking the data of it, and that's how things are being rendered, right? Versus raster or regular sound capabilities. So yeah, I really hope that ray tracing will become easier because it is way more intuitive, in my opinion, for someone who's not professionally a graphics programmer, right? Q next mode, Q layered move. Try move, blah blah blah, unbind events. Yeah, it looks actually like I cannot hook up event for... Hey, this movement ended. But let me get back to this as dashing, right? Because here we are playing montage, right? After the montage ended, we know that we are not dashing. So, what I can do here... It is very hacky. But actually it makes sense with animation, right? But again, I wish I could just react on, hey, the movement that I queued, right? Just finished and had the event. I would love to have the event, hey, this movement finished, and I can react on that specific event instead of like waiting for a duration or waiting for the animation, right? Kinda wish. But on the other hand, most of the movement is paired up with animation. Just because I don't have the animation for what I'm trying to play around and prototype here, doesn't mean that in the regular shipping way, yes, I would actually use animation after the animation ended. That's where I would probably turn the variable to like, hey, we are not dashing anymore. And that's where I would tick probably. I would just call the event not on tick. I don't like doing tick unless I'm forced to. I would call the event here like, yeah, we finished our movement. Let's queue another one, right? But queuing up actually happens on the pre-simulation. I wonder how that will work out. Let's do it. Let's prototype it. This delay right now will serve as a proxy. Here should be animation, but I'm not an animator, so I don't have one. Right? So this delay is only serving as a proxy. And I know exactly how long it will last, right? But this is in milliseconds, right? I should just divide it by 100. Then we... Okay. And after that, I can call my next event. And hang in air. Oh, that's a terrible name. Charge ground. I'm excited for Switch 2 if it is indeed using Ampere GPU. Oh yeah, I am awaiting news about what the Switch 2 capabilities will be. There were some leaks, etc., but I'm always approaching leaks with like a grain of salt because, yeah, you know why. There were so many fake leaks from so-called, my uncle works at Nintendo that, I can only take so much before I don't trust anything, right? So when they will finally have a presentation and they will, be talking about, what actual hardware is there, and what is their game that will show off this hardware, I'm down with it. What I'm searching for Switch 2 is, you know, of course, graphical upgrade, but more what I, you know, want from there is better management of battery and heat. Like, I won't mind if the graphical upgrade won't be as big as people on the internet want, if it will mean I can play for longer hours while in handheld mode, right? It's Nintendo, so I'm not expecting the world out of it. Yeah. Maybe something Xbox One level, but that's about... Yeah. Exactly. I really wish just for longer battery and better heat management. That's what I'm wishing for. And of course, you know, it's Nintendo, so I expect some cool-ass game to show off that, yeah, we have new hardware. Look what we could do with the hardware that you couldn't do generation ago, right? Yeah, battery life is crucial for a handheld. Yeah, especially as some games for Nintendo Switch for me are way better in handheld mode. That's what I don't like with those big PCs. Act like 2 hour stuff. I haven't used those PC handhelds like Steam Deck or I forgot what the other names were, but I never had experience with them. But looking at their specs, I was like, okay, I wouldn't be even able to play like, you know, quarter of a Civilization session before it runs out of battery. Battery life is most of them apparently. Yeah. Also, they kind of seem like, let's just put all those components together and release it. While Nintendo actually has hardware division that has been working there for like years, and they kind of are way better about creating hardware that makes a lot of sense when it comes to like battery life and heat management, right? Yeah, 100% defeats the purpose of being portable. Yeah, I agree. That's why I didn't buy any of them. I was tempted to try Switch Deck, but I was like, yeah, I don't need this be sitting on my, you know, drawer and gathering dust, right? Okay, charge the ground pound. Charge pound. We are still in our movements, and I'm not calling false on that. When that happens, I wanna do another delay. Maybe I should do this. I don't like doing maths in Blueprint because for me it is hard to follow. I rather write math in code, but whatever. Add like 1 second delay here. Instead of like charge the ground pound, I want to do perform the ground. Ground. Okay. So after my dash, after my launch in the air happened, I will sit there for like 1 second additionally. In the actual game, I envision it as let's launch in the air. Then I have like a second or two to target where I want to ground pound, and that's where ground pound automatically happens. That's kind of what I'm trying to see. You know, we could create like a super ugly, super dirty prototype of which OLED model did improve the battery life, so here Nintendo's trying to do better with it. Yeah, 100%. I saw the wish blueprints had a custom note like the material graph just stays high LSL. Yeah, there used to be a note, math note, geometry. There used to be a node that I was trying to learn how to use it, but it turns out it was more of a pain in the ass than it was worth it. But I kind of forgot what was the name of it, and I'm not sure if it's being supported. There was a node for that. Variance, random, not rotator. God, okay. Here to just go through. there was something like that. Maybe I could use it right now. Maybe it works and I will learn how to use it. Custom. Not spline water component. Why would I add spline water character? Let me quickly search in like browser. Math expression. Yes, expression. Okay, yes. I forgot. But is it still in Unreal 5? Documentation says still exists there. So let's see. Okay, there is something like this, and I remember that there was a way to use it. Where's my main? Accidentally turned that up. How did you use it? Name, and then you could put like inputs here and name them. You could create an expression here and type something like a cosine of something, etc, etc. But I remember having lots of problems with that node, and in the end, because the expression was being edited here, not here, I felt like the user experience is even worse than just using the plugin. Using the blueprint, sorry. One neat plugin someone made is access to the threading API and blueprints. Oh, I haven't seen that plugin. Seems cool and dangerous. Yeah, but if you have some data to process from blueprints, and if you could push it to other thread and, you know, guard it against other threads, and then, you know, just push the process data somewhere. Yeah, I see a lot of potential there on blueprints, although it is dangerous to give it to people that don't know anything about threading, right? But that's what the plugin is there for. You can learn about threading, right? Okay. Yes. You have to know what you are doing. Yep, exactly. Or you will learn by a painful way. Which is a good way of learning. Honestly, I like to learn by breaking things. Like, okay, let me break it and fix it until it works again, right? And that's where you learn how things are working. Kind of like with toy when you're a kid, right? How does it work? Oh, that's how it works. Okay, now let me assemble it again. Perform ground pound, yep. And I just want to queue the next. Like here. I wonder if it will work. Or does it have to... The question here is, can I queue up movements while not in the pre-simulation tick moment? Do I have to like schedule it in a different way? Like, for example, okay, one part of my movement ended, and I should just save that, hey, I want to schedule in the pre-simulation tick some move, right? Which would infer that if I want to make movements that is a composition of movements, I need to set up a queue for that here. If I want to do movements without inputs, right? Like combined movements. It would infer change of design in the blueprint of the animated mannequin pawn, right? That, okay, gather data from inputs, process it, but also if some other events already queued some data for me, let's process it too, right? So I am very curious if I will be able to queue that movement not in a pre-simulation tick character motion component, where the actual input is being unpacked and movements are being queued. I wonder. Let's see. I want to go down to the ground. I want to put it into moving mode. Walking. Hold in Unreal. and I want it to be twice as fast. I've worked with the 16 threads on one core microcontroller, so I face that stuff every day, every weekday, lol. Yeah, oh yeah. Oh yeah. In that scenario, 16 threads on one core microcontroller, that is a tough scenario. I remember during my university years when we were like on some, I don't remember which class it was, but we also were like coding on microcontrollers. And yeah, it can be tough depending what we are trying to achieve. But it is a cool challenge and it really makes you be wary of threads and how to work with them. Many times where bug popped up or something got to add a mutex. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Oh, I remember like not setting up any guards and then trying to debug why something some values are being changed in a ridiculous ways. And that was exactly the reason why. No guards for data. Yep. Fun times. Fun times you have at work. Yeah, in game development, most of the things tend to work on a game thread, right? But right now, at least from what I see in Unreal Engine, there is a push, for example, with Mass plugin that, I work with professionally at my day job at CreepyJar. You can push some of the data processing to other threads. And if you are processing something that is not being processed on dedicated server, which is, because you want to make dedicated servers as cheap as possible, right? So they would use not as many resources, right? Because you want to pay the Amazon as less as possible, right? But if you are just working, on a setup with one player, single player, and you are processing something with Mass plugin, you can set multi-threading and it works beautifully. And depending on your gameplay logic, right? Or whatever logic you are trying to process, use to process some data, you can benefit from multi-threading here. But historically, yeah, in game development, usually people were just pushing everything to game thread when it comes to like gameplay logic. But with the entity component system approach, making multi-threaded gameplay logic is a little bit easier than in the regular object-oriented programming. Okay, let's test. I like this chat. I really enjoy this chat. Let's test my theory. I want it to be twice as fast. Go down to the ground with the same magnitude. Yeah, sure. I just want to see if I will be able to queue this. You've been enjoying it as well? Oh, that's cool. It is my first stream when I actually have, like a prolonged chat with someone. So that's really cool. I don't have many opportunities. So I'm really glad that, we met each other here on stream. That's really, really cool. That's also one of the reasons I'm doing these streams. I really want to talk to people that are also interested in all of this stuff and, just exchange ideas, learn, from you. Like you already talked about stuff that I will, be, on my free time researching, right? And seeing as you know so much about rendering, I wanted to do some streams connected to me learning more about rendering because, by day I'm just a gameplay programmer, not a graphics programmer. So, you will be able to correct some of the bullshit that I might do. And it will be a learning experience. I love this exact kind of stuff. Okay. And it looks like yes! I can queue up moves without input phase. That's awesome. It means that it automatically has to queue up in the correct way, which Makes it awesome because it means on the gameplay side of things for designers and artists and programmers, gameplay programmers, I don't have to think much about when do I queue my moves. I can just push it to queue and it will be processed correctly. I did computer vision research in grad school, so rendering wasn't too tough to self-teach. There's so much conceptual overlap. Oh yeah, computer vision research. Yeah. Yeah, so if you had that background, then self-teaching rendering isn't that tough. Right now, I am going through, like I said, I'm writing my own ray tracing renderer based on a couple of sources, mostly like the ray tracing in a weekend one, because I don't have that much time on my free time, so it seemed like the best intro like to that. And what saves me on my end when it comes to background is that I studied like electronics and radio communication. So there was a lot of math and a lot of linear algebra there, right? So when they are talking about, like dot products and matrices, etc., I only need to like remind myself about a couple of concepts, but I'm good. And I can concentrate on, the aspects of rendering, which, is really cool. But I cannot imagine how hard it must be for, people without like background like yours or mine. How much of enormous effort it is to start from fresh, right? If you don't know linear algebra and you don't have any basics from grad school and university, then it is tough. It has to be tough, super tough. Yep, signal processing is a good foundation to understand. Yeah, that really helps me a lot. There are still lots of concepts that are fresh to me and I need to learn about them, but it really does help. Oh yeah, it is a must. It is a must, even if when I was joining game development and I was just a gameplay programmer, it's already a must, right? Because you're trying to rotate something, you kinda need to know about, rotation matrix. You kinda need to know about quaternion or quickly learn about this, right? I'm surprised so many schools don't require it. Yeah, I am surprised as well, right? I am really surprised as well that, especially, I kinda have a small beef with game development schools. Like, I've seen some of their curriculums and their programs, and great that they are teaching something about psychology behind design or art. Because when someone tries to be a game developer, like the indie game developer, like One Man Army, they need to learn about this stuff, right? I also will be learning about design and art here on the streams, right? But then I see that they are not being taught about mathematics behind things. I'm like, okay, so how will you be developing concepts for the game? Like how, for example, let's say you have a game with some looter shooter and they want to create some rules for probability, right? And if you are not being taught anything about probability or any math, how are you approaching this, right? I'm wondering, like, how does it look like, right? Maybe they are teaching them maths, but it's not explicitly said. I don't know, but I saw those curriculums and I was like, huh, okay. Software development without too much coding and math. I'm not sure about that, right? I've met grads who don't know that at all and don't have a clue about memory management or everything boils down to math. Yeah, everything boils down to math. And memory management and threading. Yeah, like I actually consider myself lucky. When I was joining the university, I kinda didn't understand why we are starting with the basic C, the low level C, and we were coding some, basic memory operations and super simple stuff, right? I kinda didn't understand why we are starting with this, but after finishing the university, I was like, yeah, now I understand. Right now, I don't have a problem when talking about, or listening to someone talking about memory management or threading, right? Yep, I agree. I think a bottom-up approach in the is the best way to learn dev. Start with C and assembly and gradually work to a higher level. Yeah, I went that way, and it was really beneficial. But I get why some people are being off-put by that, because comparing to learning how to draw, when you are starting with basic shapes, as you should, right? You kind of see it is intuitive how you are going from basic shapes to what you are trying to learn how to draw, right? But we're learning this development, right? Sometimes it is not intuitive for people how you can go from basic C assembler to coding shaders or headshots or, I don't know, replication over the network or whatever, right? This link is not seen as clear, so some educators are going, you know, top to bottom approach because they kind of want to show how you can do the cool stuff on the high level end, and then let's see how it works. But having an experience learning from bottom up, I cannot judge if this is the correct approach, going from top to bottom, right? What university have you visited, state or private? I'm from Poland, so it's a different situation here. I attended Warsaw University of Technology, which is public in Poland. Most of universities are public in Poland. But it was a university all about technology. And I was studying electronics and telecommunication or radio communication, right? And with such curriculum, I was able, you know, to go into game development, right? Even though it didn't cover anything game development per se, but you know, I was able to go from assembler and C to C++ to Java to Python, etc., etc. Learn mathematics, learn how actual, you know, computer works, how what is the architecture of the internet, etc., etc. Some of the knowledge, of course, you know, I haven't used professionally, but the benefit is that if I have to use something that I haven't, you know, touched for the last 10 years, I can just go back, read about it, and be like, ah, okay, yeah, I get it, right? Quickly remind myself instead of like learning the whole topic anew, right? Blackhand AL says, are you in a AAA studio? I used to be. My beginning in the game development was in Techland, Warsaw division. Then I changed jobs to Flying Wild Hog, where I worked for 2 years for Evil West, which is more like a AA game that, you know, had the ambition of a AAA game, learning how to do those, right? And right now I'm working at Creepy Jar, which is indie company, but a little bit bigger indie company, right? So yeah, and I've been at this for almost 10 years. And how horrible was it? You know, I was in Techland between 2015 and 2019, so 4 years. And back then, AAA development, of course, had its challenges. But I actually look fondly on this time that I spent there. For sure it is colored by the fact that it was my first job and I was learning the ropes, right? But still, you know, I kinda feel like all my skills right now are really... they are standing on top of the experiences that I had at Techland, right? Because Techland is using proprietary engine, right? So it means little to no documentation because it is evolving every day, right? So that means you are forced to go into the parts of code where dragons live, and you need to, you know, learn the intentions of author, what is the algorithm, try to deduce how it works, how much memory it might take, etc., etc. And then it helps, because then you jump into Unreal Engine, right? Like I did, going from Techland to Flying Wild Hog. And it is a little bit easier, because there is documentation. And I saw the difference between folks that were coming from proprietary engine background and folks that only worked with the engines that were having an extensive documentation, that when I approached the part of code that I didn't know about, and folks with the same background, we're like, okay, I just need to spend like, half a day or a day of debugging to trying to understand how it works, right? While folks without that background had a tougher time doing it, and they were so much bitching about not having a documentation, right? And I get it, that's like a completely valid criticism, right? I would love for there to be documentation of every part of the Unreal Engine, for example, right? But when, I'm on the job and I have to deliver, solutions, I kinda cannot sit there with my arms crossed, let me wait for documentation, right? I have to deep dive in the code, this is what I'm doing in this stream, right? And be like, okay, there is like some experimental code here, I wonder how it works, I need to conduct tests, I need to read this code and learn from it, right? Go through all those data structures and shit. And being in AAA development taught me that. I don't know how it is right now, but judging at the state, of all those layoffs and all those articles, investigative articles, I'm kind of glad that I'm in the indie space right now. I am really glad, because I would be fearing for my, life and all of my bills that I have to pay, right? In the indie sphere, right now it is a little bit easier. And as you can see from this year, indie games are kinda kicking ass and selling a little bit better than the AAA games, so Between 2015 and 2019, I really enjoyed AAA studio. But I'm not sure if I would enjoy it right now. Maybe there are some studios that are, really kicking ass right now. And they are awesome. My hypothesis is that probably Larian Studios, the guys that created Baldur's Gate 3, they are probably alright. But looking at the state right now, yeah, it is scary. Yeah. So to get back to what I was trying to do, oh no, I'm approaching the end of the stream that I can do today. Overrated game. I haven't played it, so I cannot really comment on is it overrated or good or anything like this. I'm more judging like, the folks behind it that, they are not laying off people, really. And we saw that even successful games have been laying off people, etc, etc. Plus, I know a couple of developers from there and I know that they are cool. So I'm not even talking about the quality of a game or the gameplay. I'm more talking about that if I were to take a guess, I would say that probably morale in this inside of their studio is quite good, and it might be a good, work environment, right? Regardless of whatever anyone might think of the game, whether they like it or not, right? I still haven't touched this because I kinda cannot sink 200 hours into AAA RPG right now. Maybe in the future. Okay, so what I was able to establish is that I am able to queue this move from whatever place in blueprint or code, which is exciting because it means that if I want to create some really messed up movement, I don't need to write my own layered move data and my own simulation. I can just combine library of moves, just as an engineer behind Mover said on the presentation Unreal Dev Fest, which is really cool. Yeah, so I'm happy. I was able to create this very crude prototype of a prototype of a prototype of what could be the beginnings of the prototype of ground pound. So if I were to work on it a shippable capability, I would firstly create my own input instead of hijacking the dashing input, the Unreal Engine, and then I would actually maybe try to find some animations from all the animations from library that I have that have been given away for free on the Unreal Marketplace. If I have something that follows there. So instead of using the delay node, which I hate, I would actually use something that they used, their dashing, which is I would play montage and I would call the event after montage has ended. Yeah, so the last thing that I kind of, when I will extend the stream just a little bit, I wanted to see how does the network scheduling works here. What is going on here? Is there like some replication? There is. But not this component. There's nothing about replication. So I am curious how I know from presentation that I hope soon Epic will provide on their channel that it uses network prediction plugin. I don't see how it hooks up here. Yes, mover network physics liaison component. Okay, but this is for this component acts as a middleman between actors moving component, the chaos physics net prediction system. Yeah, but we can add animation, right? Yeah, I know. 100% I know. That wasn't a question about whether I can add animation notifies. Because sure as hell I can. I can either, react on completed or notify or whatever, right? My question when I was looking at this, because I'm just, learning this mover plugin in order to learn more about how to craft movement in Unreal Engine, because I hated using character movement component. My question was more like, okay, how can I create moves that consist of combination of other moves, right? Like for example, I want my character to fly up in the air, then jump down, then do something, then do something, right? I wanted to see how that works out, because with character movement component, either you are hooking up, root animations and let animator take over the job, or you kinda need to create your own code that will drive this motion, right? But here you have like this library of moves that, if I type in make layered move, there's like this library of moves, right? That you can use, and the engineer behind it said that they want to even expand this library, right? To make parity between character movement component and mover plugin. So for example, you can see swimming here right now, right? That's something that they work on. So when you as a gameplay programmer or whomever wants to create their own move, they don't have to think like in character movement component ways. They can just think about layered moves that they can stack on top of each other. And most moves can be realized through either launching a character or putting them on linear velocity, radial velocity, teleporting, moving to a point, moving to an actor that is dynamic and also moves, right? So I wanted to see like, okay, in these examples they were creating like fire and forget moves like dash, jump, etc., right? Or vault over a ledge. But I wanted to see like, can you do like more abilities looking like movements? For example, I go up in the air, then target someone, and then just hit the ground pound to the ground, right? I just wanted to see if I can do that. I never used the plugin. Yeah, this plugin is like super fresh. It's been released this year, like a couple of months ago I think it was released with 5.4 of Unreal Engine, and it's in experimental state. And I'm just deep diving into it because I just was curious about how it works, right? Root motion montages, yeah, for single player game, 100%. I would do the same thing. For single player game, I would talk to the animation artist, be like, hey, this is the move I'm trying to do. Could you, like, create animations, right? Mover plugin works with the root motion animations, and because I had experience with root motion animations over the network with Evil West, right? But the problem there was networking. There was desynchronization up my ass. We had to really work hard in order to minimize desynchronization, and still we had cases where it was falling apart, right? Because root motion was sending so much data. And the idea is that at some point in the future, this mover plugin will replace character movement component, right? Yeah, that's normal. Exactly, that's normal. And what they are trying to do here is that treat this animation anim root motion as an equal citizen. So the mover plugin at the end of the move will correct everything, even if there was desynchronization, right, over the network. And they want to guarantee that there will be no desynchronizations, even with using root motion. As you can see, there is layered move anim root motion. You can hook up montage here, and you can decide, is it an additive velocity, override velocity, etc. How long does it last without montage, etc., etc., right? So they want to support it way better than they used to before. It's not there yet, right? But it will be supported. I just wanted to see, basically, if I could create like a move combined of other moves without animation, right? Because for prototyping, if I were doing solo development of a game and I'm not an animator, it might prove, cool for me in order to quickly prototype stuff, right? The matter if mover plugin works better, why not? It's not there yet. There are some, errors there, but the aim, at least the engineer behind it said, was to, make it in the future, probably far future, something that will be used in place of the old character movement component, right? So I'm just deep diving into it and learning the kinks of it, and it looks like, at least for me, it is way easier to use because you have like clear division between where the inputs is being taken into the account and queued up into the command queue. Then you can unpack those inputs into pre-simulation tick, and actually if you would see here on pre-simulation tick, we are taking some inputs, right? And then we can break them down and, for example, handle dash input. Let's use their version. That's where it used to be. And we can process this input in whatever way we want. And then we can queue the layered move, right? Play some montages. And it just works. Then it is being simulated over the network and you don't have to do any additional setup, which is super interesting to me because I tried to do some movement with character movement component, custom movement, and it wasn't as easy. And here I was just making an experiment. This is like the part 3 of my live stream when I was deep diving into this plugin, where I was just trying to see, hey, can I make like some weird movement here? And it turns out I can. So I'm happy that Mover plugin allows for such composition of, right? Yeah, Mover plugin, from what I interfaced with it, seems like a really cool way of a future, especially as it can work in 2 ways. It can work with the regular movement mathematical functions, right? Linear velocity, radial velocity, etc., etc. But it can also work with physics-based movement. I tried to turn it on here. It was crashing for me. So for my version, it doesn't work yet with the chaos physics movement. But I saw when I was at the Unreal Dev Fest in Prague, the engineer was showing how it works with the chaos and that it actually replicates over the internet correctly without desynchronization on his version of the engine. It looks really cool if you think about, what you could achieve if the whole movement of a game was driven by physics and your movement is driven by physics, and it is so easy to create those moves. Because the other thing that is cool about Mover plugin, why I'm looking forward into its development into the future, is that it's actor agnostic. Like character movement component assume that you are moving around with the character that is humanoid, walking on 2 legs, etc. Mover component doesn't give a fuck about what you're moving. You can move a platform, you can move a 8-legged spider, you can move whatever. And it doesn't take assumptions about, you know, where the gravity points. There were lots of, you know, like abstractions with the character movement component that they are trying to remove with the mover component. So if you're curious about this stuff, you know, you can try to, on my YouTube channel, because I don't think Twitch has my VODs from previous streams. Let me type in my YouTube channel. Link here. You can see how I, you know, was digesting and deep diving into Mover plugin without, you know, like usage of tutorials. So I encountered some problems and I fixed them live. And I really hope that the Epic will release those presentations from DevFest in Prague soon. But I'm afraid I have to go now. I'm afraid I really have to go now. I already extended my time a little bit from what I could do today. I am planning on doing like a longer stream on weekend. I don't know yet. I will for sure click through scheduling on Twitch and YouTube for this information to be visible, right? I kind of want to look at this new animation sample with the motion matching because I'm curious about that. I saw the demo in Unreal Dev Fest where the guy showed how this new mover plugin integrates well with the animation motion matching, right? And I asked him during the Q&A session, will they be releasing this integration as an example? And they will at some point, which seems like a super powerful thing, combining motion matching animation wise with like the ease of creating movements by layering, you know, simple simulation data. It seems like a blast for making movement-based games, multiplayer movement-based games, right? Without going into the problems of movement over the network with root motion animations from Unreal Engine 4, right? So I want to dig deeper into that, probably over this weekend longer stream. And after that stream next week, Thursday, I will also try to stream. It won't be connected to Mover plugin. I will try to either go into stream connected to learning, you know, primary action design, because my streams are also about covering my blind spots. And I don't know that much about design, and I kind of want to learn this muscle, right? Train this muscle. And I might start that next week, although I see some room if I will like this animation sample so much that I might do. But it's been a blast. This stream had been a blast. It was so nice talking with you guys. I really enjoyed that. I was able to like complete my goal of finishing, you know, Mover plugin series here. I was able to create like a crude, very crude combined movement. No, I didn't look through networking. No! Yeah, so I might look into networking of Mover plugin future stream too. But yeah, it's been a blast. I hope you guys have a nice day. I have to go for now. I will stream something on the weekend and I will post this information on YouTube and on Twitch. And next week on Thursday at 5 PM Warsaw time, I will try to make another stream, 2-hour stream, deep diving into some topic that I don't know about. So it's been a blast. I hope you guys have a nice day or evening or night and see you around. Hope you stick around. Bye bye!